Greetings and salutations, beautiful souls. I am Alicia Barney Madahari, and I am back at you today with another reading. And today's reading is whose villain are you, and what are the karmic lessons you're learning with this person, this cycle, this lifetime with yourself. And I've been away for a little while. Just life got lifing. So I'm back again, and I'm hoping to be at least back once a week, but we'll see how that goes because, like I said, life be lifing. Anyway, it's good to be back in your energy. So with the three piles today, we have pile number 1, which is Ashvini. Pile number 2 is Pushya, and pile number 3 is Chitra. They're your 3 nakshatra cards. So take a moment. Decide which pile is for you. I'll give you a moment with the piles. And I am going to get started with pile 1. Okay, pile number 1. I'm going to put your card here in the middle, your Ashvini card. And Ashvini, that means the twin horsemen. So we did it a little bit differently today. So I had all the nakshatra cards facing up. So this reading, I'm feeling like all 3 piles are connected. And this first pile is about the masculine energy. It's, as you can see, it's associated with Aries, and the red is giving me root chakra. So having that stability and the proper use, proper being, I guess, correct or natural use of that energy in a way that's in harmony with the divine plan is the lesson I'm seeing for either you, this cycle, or the person that you're dealing with. And of course, we learn through our relationships with other people. So it's probably all of the above, if that's the lesson that you're mastering. And it could be over several lifetimes. You know, when you think about it, over multiple lifetimes, if you think about how long humanity's been on the planet, we talked about this recently in one of my readings. Relative to humans, whales have been on the planet like so much longer. And then if you think about, something that will happen, we're just so accustomed in the Western world and in modern society, particularly since the Industrial Revolution, to just have this need for speed, this everything has to be, instant gratification. And that is basically a form of distraction. So this call home, this call back to the natural, this call back to our own frequency is a call. And I'm seeing the matrix, everything like in real time, you can see him moving fast, but from his perspective, everything is slowed down. And I'm hearing that phrase, more haste, less speed. That old wives' tale. So Aries is a malefic, or well, Mars is a malefic, and Aries is ruled by Mars. And I was listening to something recently, and they were talking about how malefic and benefic is not so much to think of it, not so much in terms of good and bad, but to think of it more in terms of hard and soft, kind of. Because being all mushy and gushy, like Venus and Jupiter are definitely benefic signs, but being all Jupiter or being all Venusian has its problems as well. Or being all harsh, being all Sun, and being all Mars has its problems as well. And that's just really talking about being in, that need to be in being in balance. And I made a mistake there because I said sun, and that's not actually what I meant to say. I meant to say Saturn. So that's interesting. A lot of people kind of think of the sun as being benefic, and it can be. But if you think about Icarus flew too close to the sun. Jupiter was on a collision course for the sun, and it was Saturn who came in and stopped that. So being too close to the sun, and think of all of the things the sun does create. Without sun, the amount of power in the sun would in a single day would power all of the machines on Earth for like 1,000 years or something crazy like that. So there's immense power, but you need to have dexterity to be able to use that power. And if you're overpowering everyone else, then it's not great either. So Aries, Mars is kind of called the rudimentary sun. So I'm actually very much seeing in this pile a father wound. And Ashwini, actually, the twin horsemen, it kind of has that connotation that like the only entity, an entity, I use the word very loosely because I can't think of another entity for it, the only force possibly that is all, because all, I'm hearing that phrase, all is divine, all is divine. The void is divine, as is the all manifestation is divine. The dark is divine, the light is divine. And what is the dark? Only an absence of light. So we're all on our path, whether we're moving towards the light or away from the light, because we've got free will. And that doesn't exist just on Earth. That exists, on the other side. It exists we're in three-dimensional land, and then we have fourth dimension and fifth dimension, but then we've got the higher order beings, like all the way up to however the dimensions go higher. And I remember saying this recently in another reading that I just have a knowing that on the other side, and when I'm saying the other side, I'm talking about the celestial realms, the Fey realms, the dragon realms, all of those other magical realms, that these do indeed have their own soul evolution. I guess we refer to it here in our human context as shadow work, and that just means bringing, like, expanding our consciousness, bringing to the surface, bringing out into the light, bringing out into the sun, that which is hidden from us. And of course, on Earth, in this incarnation, in our human incarnation, we have the Maya that we deal with, and the Vedas talk about that. And I've also just come across, I've been really loving getting to study a bit of the nakshatras, so I'm hoping that you're enjoying some of that with me. But one of the things with Ashwini was I was looking at the somebody describing the sutra, and the sutra says that basically for Ashwini, the two saddled horses of the two horsemen need a city for soldiers. So if you think about it, two is like nobody can do anything all by themselves. Like, I have my gifts that I'm good at, you have your gifts that you're good at, and father child, parent child. But I'm talking about I guess the masculine energy, and I'm using father child as the example to illustrate what I'm talking about, because it's the most I guess the most obvious, the most literal, father child, as a description of the of this lesson, and what masculine energy, and whether you're male or female, or however you identify, we all have masculine and feminine energy in it. And if you think about the languages, not English, but if you think about, let's say, French or Spanish or or German, any of the romantic languages, like they have masculine and feminine nouns and things like that. So there's that innate understanding of masculine and feminine in the language that we don't really, that we've kind of lost contact with more in the in the English language, I guess. But saddled horses has that kind of almost readiness. So there's been, you know, they're not wild horses. They're not, I don't want to say feral, and I don't want to say domesticated, because it's more that there's a preparation for, there's a preparation for, this is interesting to me. I just posed the eagle as well. And they're both card number 1. So that's interesting. And 11 is a very auspicious number. It's a very spiritual life path. So I might be talking to some people with life path 1 or life path 11. So, and that leads me back to the saddled horses. So by the time that you're at a, you know, an awareness of your ascension path, you've done some preparation. And I go back to my Shivananda mantra of our lineage, and what it says is, what is it? Serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. So by the time you get to meditation, we're doing all these things concurrently, but at the same time, it's that idea of preparation. It's not that you just are open to your intuition. Think about when a baby is born. They're a blank slate in terms of this lifetime. Of course, they're coming in with their genetics. Of course, they're coming in with their past life karmas. If you believe in that, and I'm not telling you what to believe in, but I'm just using it to illustrate the point. But they can't walk, they can't talk. They're completely dependent on, you know, their caregivers. They have to learn how to life. And that's the rule of incarnation. Or that's, yeah, I guess it's one of the laws of incarnating on this planet. And when we go to, it's one of the, I'm going to call it obstacles, but that's also bringing me to another thing. So I was thinking about obstacles, and it was reminding me of blocks. And blocks can be viewed in 2 ways. So we've got, you know, on 3D land, we've got the duality, which the eagle always reminds me of, because eagle is the way of the spirit, and eagle has that higher perspective. It can see the tiniest detail. It's you know, it's an apex predator. It is able to zoom in and pick up the, you know, a mouse on the ground. But also it has that bird's eye view. It can see for miles and miles in the distance. And eagle is it's a very, very spiritual animal. So it's got that duality of the being able to have mastery in the 3D, for being able to have mastery in the 3D and also being close to spirit. And the feathers of the eagle are considered to be the most sacred of all of the healing tools. So there's a real healing element to it. And they've been used for centuries in like Native American culture to cleanse auras and for healing. And eagle, you know, they're very graceful, and it has that symbolic energy of a state of grace. And when this is just seeming like I'm seeing for some of you for sure that, you know, you might have come in this nakshatra for me is about the use of power in the community and how we use our own personal power, because Aries to the sun is, you know, Aries is the youngest sign in the zodiac. it is the infant, and we were just talking about babies. And then son is obviously representative of the father in many religions. And then also further down the road, you've got Jupiter, who we were also talking about, is an expression of, kind of spiritual father, that higher wisdom. So we've got all of the kind of almost all of the male energies or masculine energies through the life path in these two cards alone. And the two saddled horses remind me of the preparation. You don't just wave a magic wand and you're there. You build over time. The baby has to learn how to walk, and it keeps falling down. It doesn't say, "Oh God, thou hast forsaken me," because it falls down. It knows, the body knows it has to learn. And as anytime a baby does anything, laughs, says a word, poops, cries, whatever, they get a round of applause, because it's an understanding that for them at their level, what they are mastering is huge and is enormous. And then they go off to school and they learn how to do math, and they learn how to read and how to write. So every stage of the journey is legitimate, and every stage can be celebrated and can be loved and appreciated if you're surrounded by loving, supportive people and souls. And we all are, in terms of our guides. We all have our guides, and we all have spirit loves all. We have the divine at all times available to us. And that's back to what I was saying about blocks, because they can say that, I'm seeing, when I was on my walk today, literally Ganesh was showing me that, like, blocks, you can either build, you can build a wall, which is sometimes appropriate. Use your power, use your blocks, use your resources to protect yourself if that's what's necessary. Or you can build a structure for bhakti. You can build a structure to honor the divine. You can build a structure for worship of the divine. That's the only really honoring, and it's building blocks of life. So it's layers of skills, layers of how we use our resources. What are the resources that we have at the time? What is the next best step we can take? So that idea of preparation and building one on top of the other into the sun, that's leadership. That is, and when you're a little kid, obviously parent is the leader or caregiver, whatever stands in, as the symbol for father, for example. And then the two saddle horses of the two horsemen need a city for soldiers. So they need a city because in the city there's people. So then there would be soldiers being representative of followers. So that's the journey to leadership. And so that's about, like, how do I operate in the community? How do I foster a sense of leadership and collaboration? And I'm also seeing IFS, which is internally family system. So how do I do that first within myself? Well, the parent has to teach us. And when you think about it, the mother is more kind of like the first person, you're born of the mother's body, and then the mother's body feeds. And then the mother is represented by Cancer, and Cancer rules over the breasts, and that's mother's milk. So, but the father is the one who's more individual. And when I say individual, I mean the one more distance, more action oriented, more strategic, that goes out and does the hunting. In the hunter-gatherer kind of, it's later that the father becomes more of a figure of proximity. Even though they're there, like in the beginning, it's like the father supports the mother. And I'm not saying that, like, I'm going back to, just a very simple kind of paradigm. So I'm not saying that all families have to behave like this. I'm not saying that. I'm just using this as an example, and I'm using a traditional family as a way to illustrate what I'm trying to say. So take it how it resonates, and whoever is in that position, let's say in a family or in another kind of setup, in a community or within oneself, like how do we resource ourselves? How do we protect ourselves? How do we use that power for the benefit of the community? What is our community? Is it our family? Is it, and that's the lesson that you're learning. So the question was, whose villain are you, and what are the karmic lessons with this person? So whatever the situation is, I feel like you're the person, and I feel like I'm talking to the person who's mostly on the spiritual path. And we're all on a spiritual path, but I mean the person who's most consciously has said, yes, I'm going to walk with the light, and is doing their shadow work, bringing their unconscious, looking at their fears, looking at what they need to learn, consciously wanting to burn off their own karmas. That's what I'm talking about when I say that. And it's interesting to me that, the Ashvini is also the star of transport. And as we're, and we've got K2 here as well. And K2 is the headless one. So the star of transport really, really reminds me of you learning to transport your consciousness throughout timelines, back and forth, through different realms. But the only way to do that is to purify and settle within your emotions, within your bodies, your physical body, the environment that you have around you. I've used this example before, if you build your home and you live on a toxic waste dump, if you go and you build your house in Chernobyl where there's radiation, you're going to have radiation poisoning. You're going to get sick. Your kids are going to have issues. So you don't want to be in toxicity physically. There's that law of proximity. The 5 people that you're around the most, you absorb not only their energy, but their way of thinking and how their belief systems and how they operate in the world. So your immediate company, which, for most of us, it's our nuclear family, our parents, our siblings, and then we go to school, we have our friendships, or we have our acquaintances, and then your world gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you go out, and as you get to be an adult, then you get to choose who you invite to sit at your table. And back to, not everyone is born into a loving, supportive family. And we're talking about a lot of families are passing on generational trauma. And what I mean by that is that there's people who don't come from a purified place. And what I mean by purified is looking at doing their shadow work, looking at their own psychology, looking at why they think about things, not understanding when they're moving from emotions and using emotional energy inappropriately. And I'm seeing that victim, rescuer, persecutor triangle. And I'm seeing, the narcissist, empath paradigm as well. And I'm, obviously not qualified to diagnose anybody. I've done, plenty of therapy. And of course, I have learned a lot of what I have done through being involved in dynamics and going to therapy myself and doing my research. But right now, that narcissist language is so pop culture. A lot of people can have narcissistic behaviors, and in certain situations that's actually appropriate. Like, I used to always think that kids are incredibly narcissistic because they haven't learned the skills about community. They haven't learned how to come from, they're innocent in one sense, but they're also very ignorant in another sense, but they're very pure. So it's not either or, it's just so nuanced. People are so complex, and we have lifetimes that we purify our karmas and burn our karmas. And I think this group number one has had to make a decision. I think you've been around people who have very whoever has been in your remit has I'm hearing raised by spirit. So I'm feeling like many of you may have come from maybe, I don't want to say a strict father, but maybe a father who or the paternal caregiver who was coming from a place of things like anger, passion, the things that were traditionally associated with Aries is the warrior, but he's not like Jupiter is the wise. Aries can be impulsive. Now, none of the signs are bad and none of the nakshatras are bad. It's about using them in the right way at the right time, and that's discernment. The Kumars are they're the physicians of humans and animals, and horses are incredibly sacred. But they can also have to wear blinders because they can be very jumpy, and they're very powerful animals. So when there isn't that dexterity to navigate that level of power well, or where they can be spooked, and they're very powerful and very strong, but they can also, like, if a horse breaks a leg, it's done for. So there's that ability to with great power comes great responsibility, and that's what I'm seeing here. I think you're very powerful, and you've learned how to harness that power and harness the lessons. And I feel like whoever you're dealing with has not, and they've gone in a direction less away from the light. And you've elevated through this. I'm feeling a lot of burning and pain. I'm feeling it in my heart, actually. I'm feeling it really in my heart. So whatever this was, I feel like maybe, and there's that whole thing about breaking a horse's spirit. So whoever this interaction has been with, or whatever this situation is, or whatever this cycle is, because you know how they say sometimes you date the same person over and over and over again, and then there's that whole thing. I heard somebody talking about a very famous couple at the moment, and they were like the one half of the couple was very traumatized in the public face, or in the public eye, when they were young. And they were talking about the marriage that they ended up in now, and now that they have replicated the same trauma again. And if you listen to any trauma experts, they will say that until you face your fears, until you clean up the psychology of why you make the decisions that you do, you will repeat certain patterns. And it doesn't matter whether we all have lessons that we have to learn in this life, and your navigation of being around powerful people and stepping into your personal power, and where true power comes from, because true power comes from within, and going within is going towards God. Like, you can't outsource your personal power. And if you do outsource your personal power, it just means that you're like, that's basically being totally codependent. And I believe that you're someone who really had to learn that potentially the hard way. If you have pulled this in this deck, in the animal medicine deck, it's reminding you to gather your courage, and the universe is presenting you with an opportunity to soar above. And I believe that's what you've done. Wherever you are on the timeline of this, I can't tell for now. But I feel like whoever this is, or whatever this situation was, and the other thing is, when you don't do your when you don't do your shadow work, when you don't bring that which you're afraid of to light, when you don't look at the things that the unconscious patterns in your life, and you just keep repeating the same old ding dong, the same old story, the same old song, you get the same results. And if I'm going to use that word toxic, if you're impure, and what I mean by impure is that your psyche is has been projected on by other people's version of who you should be. Until you've learned to be in your own frequency and have discernment about the decisions that you're making, you're in this cloudy space of thinking that you're making decisions based on intuition, thinking that you're making clear-headed decisions. But if you're in pain, but you don't know it and you don't know why, you can think that you're making decisions for different reasons. So that's why it's really important to use that spiritual fire to get into your own frequency, so that, and I'm hearing that phrase, know thyself. Nobody knows what is right for you but you. And the only way you can know what's right for you is to purify yourself, or know where you end and where another begins. So I'm seeing, a lot of enmeshment and a lot of trying to break your spirit, and gaslighting, telling you who you are and what you should be. And that's somebody's projection. And it's usually, I'm hearing blame is a discharge of pain. So somebody has pain, shame that they've discharged onto you in order for them to feel better. But what they're doing is outsourcing their own healing and making you the receptacle of it. So then you might be someone who had to learn to put up boundaries, or who had to learn to move away. And whether it's move away physically, again, we have the star of transport, or move away figuratively by saying, no, I'm standing here. I'm using my heart and my courage to say, this is not who I am. I am going in this direction. Again, transport. My heart is leading me. I listen to spirit, and I operate from that place. And to do that, you need to be very strong, and you need to have mastered this power, because a lot of our attachment issues will override our need to be in connection with other people. And I was listening to somebody recently who was talking, I can't remember who it was. I listened to a lot of people on trauma and elevation and alchemy and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously, seeing as I'm doing this, but they were saying how that what a lot of people missed. Oh, it was that channel. I think it's called Hidden Patterns, or Unseen Patterns, or something on YouTube. But they were talking about how most people understand connection to be something different than what connection is. Connection is connecting with yourself first, and knowing who you are and showing up in that manner. It's not about being belligerent, but it's about, kind of being in harmony with your own values and your own light and what you truly believe in, and not being in that kind of following the crowd energy, and that social conditioning, that a lot of people, when they get to that stage of true connection, that they have less connections, but they have deeper connections. And they have had to choose to be themselves, or to allow others to kind of dictate who they should be and what that should look like. And it's not worth it. There's a point at which the price is too high. And I'm hearing Dr. Phil. I used to watch a lot of Dr. Phil when I was young, and I actually had an ex who said to me once, "I talk down to you in Dr. Phil language so that you understand me." And I was just like, obviously it was very hurtful, and it was a big, massive fight that we were having. We're obviously not together, seeing as we're exes. We were not a good match for each other, but we were both needing to do some shadow work. And he was trying to dominate me, and I was trying to, in a way, finesse him, Venusian him. Like, if I just love him enough, he will see how great he has it with me, or whatever. Kind of back to those traditional, like, the woman should be agreeable and the man can be blah 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 blah. I'm talking Jane Austen kind of stuff, 1950s stuff, don't worry darling kind of stuff. And at a point that when it's authentic and when it's in the right place at the right time, we're both allowed to have our it was basically, we were headbutting, we wanted different things, we were both unmastered in our energies, and we both needed to do shadow work, and we were both totally unaware of it. And in the end, it just ended up being a horrifically painful ending. But, hopefully I know I've gone on to better things. I hope he has too. And it makes a difference to like, when it costs you who you are to be in a relationship. And Dr. Phil used to also say the worst thing than being in a bad relationship for 10 years or 20 years is being in a bad relationship for 10 years and one day, or 20 years and one day. And I remember this same ex that I had, when it got really, 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 really bad, when I couldn't accept that that I had invested so much, and that we had invested so much in being together, but it wasn't working out, and I was still in denial. And I remember his sibling said to me, "Oh, by the time you figure this out with the person that you're with, you're usually married, and then you just work it out." And I was like, at the time, I was ugly crying and all the things. And I sobered up straight like that. I came out, like, I just looked at her, and I was like, I would rather be by myself. There is nothing, I'd rather be alone than be in a relationship that I feel like I'm the only one working on. I'm sure he felt like he was the only one working on it too, but we were just not working together. And we did come apart. So that is an example of this in my history, and it didn't work out. So maybe whatever this dynamic was for you was a similar thing, in that you guys separated, whether it's a family ship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a romantic partner, or maybe it's something within you. Maybe you guys did your shadow work together and chose to saddle up your horses together and go to the city and have your followers. Maybe you had a family, or you built a business, or you built community around you together because you both recognized the shadow work that you had to do. I'm not seeing that in the cards, if I'm honest, because on your side I'm seeing the Ace of Pentacles, which is telling me that you wanted a balanced, harmonious relationship, a reciprocal relationship. And Libra is about Lady Justice, and that's also the card, that's usually the card 11, and we've got 1-1 here. And I think that is something that was not on offer. You had invested a lot, so I'm guessing that's why Spirit had me share that story. I'm guessing you had a lot invested, and we've got Cancer sign here. And that is that is mother energy. That is, maybe you weren't getting nurtured in that relationship. And 8 of Cups is something that you had to walk away from and invest in. Then we've got the Page of Swords. And I'm seeing this as being your guides, like you really praying to your inner self and your guides, and being like, and Spirit, and choosing to take the path towards the light and listening, because you've become the emperor in your own life, and you have decided not to outsource that power to somebody else who cannot see, who constantly was trying to put you in an unwinnable situation, and who saw themselves as all that, who saw themselves as being the answer to you. But really they had left you in the 5 of Pentacles. They had left you in lack, and they actually saw you in lack. They didn't see you as they didn't see you as a partner. They didn't see you as the other horse. They didn't see you as being connected to Spirit. And I believe that you just were at one point in the lower part of the power dynamic on the face of it, but you had the bigger energy, and you were just like, I don't understand why you're being like this. I don't understand why we can't work together and collaborate. 2 people, 2 energies, why we can't work together, instead of you being like, Aries is the ram, and think about ram. To ram is to bash into somebody. It's to bully by aggression, to bully by force. It's corrupted masculine energy. Whereas when it's used to protect and to build and to build up oneself, so that you can be that companion to another partner. And the 2 horses is also reminding me of the Chariot. And of course, what comes before the Chariot is the Lovers. So the Lovers is Gemini. So again, we're back to that. It could be a boss. It could be a boss. It could be an employee situation. So I'm seeing an and I'm seeing a dynamic where there is somebody who clearly has the role of leader, but they didn't understand the collaboration of leader. And in this deck, this is the materialist, and they had the goods, they had the money, they had the title, they had whatever it was, maybe the good name, the connections, whatever. But their karma is that the 2 of Swords, They're blind. They were blind. They were blind to you. They were blind to themselves. They were blind, and by choice. They just had themselves like not thinking clearly. They thought that they were all that. It's the materialist. They're confused, and they're suffering a lot of anxiety because of how they treated you. They may not still, I'm not saying that they know, and they feel defeated. They feel like you won. And the only thing that you won is yourself, your own self-respect, your own autonomy, your own liberation. Wild Horses, I'm hearing that song. I Know I Dreamed You, A Sin and a Lie. I can't remember the rest of it, but it's a beautiful song. It's by the Rolling Stones, but Alicia Keys and Adam Levine have such a beautiful version of it. But pile number one, I'm going to leave it there. Their karma is that they are, for the way that they treated you and for the way that they have refused to understand power, leadership, community, masculine energies, they are blind to their own inner wealth. They're blinded by their outer wealth, whatever that is. They feel defeated. They feel like you've won, and they really have to go within. They're being called to go within and follow the leader, because we were talking about the two saddle horses. Of the two horsemen need a city for soldiers. You're actually the leader, and they're too blind to see it. And they're in anxiety about it because they're confused. They're like, but I'm I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's an old English comedy called Blackadder, and Stephen Fry is in it, and Hugh Laurie is in it. That's the guy who played House, and Stephen Fry is like super he's super smart. But it's from back in the day, and it's based in the court of Queen Elizabeth, and the woman who plays Queen. It's a off take, and I can't even think of the word, but she's Queenie, and she's just this big overgrown child on a throne, and it's reminding me of that. This person is still in their Queenie phase, and they're like, but I'm the Queen! I'm the Queen! And they're just not understanding why you flew the coop. Again, whether it be figuratively or whether it be in actuality. Whether it was a situation that, ended in divorce, ended in separation, ended in you gray rocking, whatever it is, they're still, and they're pissed. They are not happy about it. And they want things to go back to when they were in control and you were outsourcing your power to them. And you are done with that. And we have, I don't know if you've processed all your emotions around that. I mean, a lot of people like to process their emotions in various different ways. Creative expression, writing it down, meditation, exercise, going, water can be very helpful as well. Again, to move the emotions. But if you're not, because where I'm going with this is we have a full moon in Scorpio coming up, and there's some really intense, there's going to be some intense things coming up for repatterning and for release. Not only in you, but don't be surprised if others around you, and forewarned is forearmed. Don't be surprised if other people are lashing out and are, reacting, and especially if you have any Scorpios in your midst, because Scorpio is ruled by, in the olden days before they discovered Pluto, they said it was ruled by Mars. So you've got the Mars Pluto here, and Pluto likes to be in the shadows and doesn't like to be seen. So there could be some kind of just do your shadow work, rest. And when I say I didn't mean do your shadow work. What I actually meant to say was do your protection work. make sure that you know that you're doing your resting, whatever it is, you're chanting, your meditation, that you're saying your you're talking to your guides, you're asking them for protection, you're burning your candles if that's what you do, if you're doing your rituals, you're connecting with your higher self, and that you're resting. You're looking after yourself, you're resting, you're drinking plenty of water, you're eating well, because you want your body to be online. You want to be not in fight or flight when this is kicking off. And if we all have lives to live. We all are working, we're all interacting with a number of different people. We all experience the same astrology, but it hits us differently because of our charts. But you, pile number 1, have broken free and elevated. It is just such beautiful energy. I am so happy for you. I am so grateful that you've come to my channel. It is such a delight to read for you. I'm gonna pull one of the I'm gonna pull one of these. This is the sacred geometry activations, because once you release emotions as well, you have the space. Oh my gosh, you've got third eye chakra. The frequency of the third eye chakra, the indigo flower of life, supports our intuition and our knowing, our imagination and our psychic powers. So that's also reminding me of the moon, the Scorpio full moon. I feel like that you're going to have a lot of if you still have some residual emotions around this, or some things that you need to let go of, I feel like, and this full moon in Scorpio is about something that's coming up on a soul level, things that are coming up on a soul level to let go of for once and for all. So you're really overcoming this, and I feel like once you're able to process whatever those fears are, and again with Pluto, with Scorpio, that's things that you've suppressed. So just allow it to come up and allow it. And you don't even have to necessarily, when I say look at it square in the face, don't get into your mind about it so much. When things like, you can do automatic writing, you can, have a bath, you can chant, you can meditate, you can go for a run. Even things that get you into your body and out of your mind will actually be really, really helpful to just alchemize some of this energy and help open up your third eye. And I see you moving into a new stage of like just gifts awakening for you. So I am so excited for you. And this is reminding me of number 6 of Gemini energy again. So Gemini energy is also the choice card. Who you choose to have in your day-to-day is really, really important. And for people who are in the hermit phase, that's their spirit guides. That's the animals. That's whatever. So I don't know where you are in the journey, but you are doing amazing. Thank you for incarnating at this time. Enjoy what's after the purge. That's the way I'm going to leave it. I love you very much. I'm sending you lots of love and light. I am so honored to read for you, and I hope to see you at another reading, pile number 1. If you like my readings, do feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I really do hope to see you at another reading at another time. So bye, pile number 1. And pile number 2. You have Pusha. Pile number 2, you have Pusha. So Pusha in Cancer. Cancer is the Chariot card. It's also the moon. It's moon energy. It is the nurturer. It is the mother card. Not so much Pusha, but Cancer is mother energy. And we mentioned this in pile 1, and this might be the 3 piles I feel are connected for sure. Cancer is I feel, and Cancer rules the breath. So there might be there might be a mother wound here, and actually the full moon that's coming up on May 12 is about the mother wound is quite strong, like clearing energies for that. And we've also got card number 8 here, which is reminding me of the 8th house, which is also Scorpio energy. And I was watching something and they were talking about Eris. Eris is one of the asteroids, and it's like the cousin of Chiron, the wounded healer. And it is we've got bat medicine here, which is interesting. I'm just going to pull that out. And if you think about it, we're talking about moon energy, we're talking about mother energy, and we're talking about Scorpio, we're talking about 8th house stuff. And what can the bat do? The bat is nocturnal, it sees in the dark. So it's all about intuition and darkness and the things that we've pushed down. So I feel like pile number 1, whose villain are you? You're someone who has corrupted feminine energy, whether it be a mother, a female caregiver, a female partner, a karmic wife archetype, however you identify and whatever kind of relationship that you're in. Maybe even a sister who was a mother in a mother role with you. That's also possible. But Pushya itself, Pushya is the blossomed, and the sutra for Pushya is blossoming fortune needs tongues for endeavors. And endeavor, it means, colloquially it means to try, but the etymology of endeavors, it's more like to act dutifully, I guess, because it comes from the French word devoir, which means to have to, must, ought to. So there's an element of that duty with it. And blossoming fortune needs tongues for endeavors. And tongues, what's jumping out to me really strongly actually is, so I've mentioned it before on my channel, but I've been reading The Evolved Nest. And one of the things that's very, very important when newborns are born, especially in the animal kingdom, is this nurturing that the mother gives. And the mother, that bonding with the newborn is done by licking. They lick the child. They keep licking the child, and that grounds the child. That grounds the baby animal in their body, and it teaches them. It gives them safety. It teaches them so much, and it's so important. But then the other side of it, we were talking about Eris, and Eris is the uninvited female. So it's the thing I was listening to is they were talking about single white female and the talented Mr. Ripley. So in both cases, it's people, and I'm hearing cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. And what does the cuckoo do? The cuckoo takes over somebody else's nest and flings their young out. So it's this idea of coming in and being using your feminine energy and your feminine wiles, whether that's like towards a woman, because in single white female, it's a female roommate who comes into this woman's space when she's at a low ebb because she's just experienced something that's knocked her down, and they've come in. And she doesn't want to, she's very nice, she's very feminine, she's very friendly, she's very agreeable, all those sugar and nice and feminine, benign kind of on the face of it. And we're talking about things that are pushed down. So Pluto again, Pluto is hidden. Scorpio, full moon is coming up. So in moving in the shadows, even that's how she's presenting. What she's actually wanting is she's moved by jealousy and envy. And she's like, I want what she has. She doesn't want to work for it. I mean, she's working in a very corrupted way. She's watching her. She's mimicking her. She's dressing like her. She's getting her hair cut like her. She's pretending to be her instead of doing her own shadow work, looking at her own fears instead of turning inwards and bringing out of her subconscious, out of her depths, out of her inner space, who she is. She's using nurturing language. She's using nurturing maskology, a word I just made up. She's presenting as a mirror. Oh, vampiric. Vampires have no reflection in the mirror. So when somebody is so matchy, I'm seeing NLP, like, you know, how you mirror other people, the mirror exercise. I'm hearing that in the twin flame. Just do the mirror exercise, where they're pushing back onto the other person. There's nothing going on for them except for this need to feed, this hungry ghost energy. I'm unwilling to be nurturing to myself. I want to be nurtured, which is kind of like anti-mother energy, rather than I want to be the mother. I want to be mothered. I don't want to mother. It's yucky. So blossoming fortune needs tongues for endeavors. So then think about Mean Girls, that archetype. And the other thing is the same thing played out for, as in Single White Female, played out in The Talented Mr. Ripley, except he did away with him. So it's not just women, it's like that feminine energy, that corrupted feminine energy. So Pusha is about needing, it's about decisions and discernment and masculine and feminine. When do I do and when am I just being? Doing is the masculine energy and being is the feminine energy. Blossoming fortune needs tongues for endeavors. So it needs tongues. It needs other people. It needs wisdom. It needs advice from others. It needs research. It needs the words of our. And when I say words, I mean the idea is the communication, claircognizance. It needs us to be in conversation with our higher self, with our guides, with our elders. But we want that to be a healthy conversation. We want to be able to see, and it's interesting that bat came out, because bats move by sonar. And that's reminding me of vibration. And they move by, I believe, infrared as well. So they have had to develop all these other ways. So when you're dealing with somebody who's not being truthful, who is anti-truth, and who is presenting a certain way, but is something completely different beneath the shadows, or beneath the surface, beneath the shadows, moving in the shadows. Somebody who's moving in the shadows, but is presenting as this nurturing, caring person. Ooh, I'm getting narcissistic mom. Yikes. Blossoming fortune needs tongues for endeavors. So there needs to be effort. There needs to be action, but it needs to come. All effort needs to come from a healthy place. Cancer, mother's milk. Sour milk. What is more gross and sickening than sour milk? You don't want to be sour inside. You want to be neutral. You want your milk to be healthy. You want the advice that you're getting to be healthy. You want to you want to do things because of the place that you're coming from. And that's back to, excuse me, we manifest from our subconscious. We don't manifest from our conscious mind. It's like, you know, you can say whatever you want, but it doesn't make it so. The proof is in the pudding. Look to the pudding. What have they built? Did they build it, or are they clout chasers, or are they the son of someone who's built it, or the daughter of somebody who's built it, or the wife of somebody who's built it, or the spouse of somebody who's built it, or the husband of somebody who's built it? And there's nothing wrong with being married to, you know, somebody wealthy. There's nothing wrong with marrying somebody wealthy. There's nothing wrong with having wealthy parents. But what do you do inside of that energy? Are you just coasting on not, like, have you any substance of your own? Everybody needs to have substance, because if you don't, you're that empty ghost energy. You're that insatiable. You're just consuming. You're outsourcing that fulfillment to stimulus, to constant distraction. And I'm hearing Abraham Hicks say that the things we want for the feeling that they think we believe that they're going to give us. So why not generate that for yourself? And I feel like you're someone, pile number 2, who has learned that. So you may have had a toxic spouse who was corrupted in the feminine space. You may have grown up around that through your bloodline. Maybe you're a starseed who's come in to heal the feminine energy in that way. And if you think about, I was about to get on to Mean Girls, like the feminine way of warfare, the feminine way of fighting, the corrupted feminine way is in the shadows. It's that, like, they'll present nice to your face, but it's gossip, it's passive aggressiveness, it's bullying by victimhood, it's social bullying, it's the missing perpetrator, it's the, oh, help me, go attack that person because they're attacking me. It's corrupted feminine energies. Adult Mean Girls are the worst, most dangerous. I'm here, that movie Gone Girl, like that, you know, that phrase, a woman scorned, you know, it's not like, a healthy woman will be like, it didn't work out, we're not compatible, we don't belong together. They're not into psychological warfare because they want to build something, because they want to be recognized for who they are, not be fed by someone because they don't feel like they have any intrinsic worth. So let's pull some tarot for you, pile number 2. I keep repeating, blossoming fortune needs tongues for endeavors. So it's that really it's reminding me of that blossoming fortune. I'm getting a garden metaphor for that. And what I'm seeing is, you know that, I think it's Mark Nepo who said, the flower doesn't concern itself with the bee. The flower blossoms and the bee comes. And that's reminding me of, so in the garden, so it's back to that, the proof is in the pudding. The flower is in its own nature. The flower is of the plant. The plant flowers and the bee comes. And the flower doesn't worry about, oh, how am I going to propagate? The bees and the hummingbirds come, and the wind, it knows that it will, if it is in its natural state, if it does what it's supposed to do, that it will continue on. So we've got joy. I feel like you're a very joyful person. You have an innate joy. So we've got dolphins here. This is the New Elements Tarot. We've got 5 of Pentacles, Death, Mother of Fire, which is Queen of Wands. And we've got Two of Wands. Domination. And I like in this that you see kind of a dark and a light here. We've got Despair, which is the Eight of Cups. We've got the Queen of Pentacles, the Mother of Earth. Father of Fire, which is the King of Wands. Daughter of Air, which is the Page of Cups. Or Page of Swords, I'm sorry. And we've got the Father of Water, which is the King of Cups. So, what I'm seeing with this is that you're a very joyful person. And this is the Five of Pentacles. So I feel like instead of being, you're very nurturing. And you have an innate joy. You have an innate, like we've got Jupiter here. It's the Nine of Cups. You've got that. You are wish fulfillment. You have an innate ability to be connected to your own frequency, to bring in that fulfillment energy no matter where you are. You shine brightly, and I'm really taken to how the sun is coming down into the depths. And dolphins can go down into the depths. They're very playful and they're very community oriented. They're also mammals, so there's that idea of them like being, not like a fish out of water, but being the reverse of a fish out of water. Like you can go in anywhere. You can go down to the deepest depths, and you can come up, and you can play, and you can twirl, and you can be in community, and you can. Dolphins are very, 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 very smart as well. And then you've got the Five of Cups, or Five of I think it's the Five of Earth, Five of Coins. No, it's not. This is the it's the Five of Swords. This is reminding me of Black Widow, actually. And I'm hearing from that movie, and I don't know why I'm hearing this. Oh, you know why? It's that movie Blade Runner, right? And it was based on a short story called Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? So this is reminding me back to this illusion. And in it, the replicants, they're basically not humans. They're basically very human-like machines that have been developed by the corporation. And it's an old movie from, I think it was 1979 or something. But it's one that I used to watch a lot. And in it, one of Sean Young is in it, and her character Harrison Ford is in it as well. Her character says, talks about this memory she has. When I was a child, I had this spider's nest outside my window, and one day the mother gave birth to 1,000 baby spiders, and they all ate her. But the point is, it's not about that. The point is that she was implanted with memory. So I feel like you were gaslit a lot. So you might have had a caregiver who was corrupted in their feminine energy, who gaslit you, who just programmed you, maybe against other people, maybe against yourself. And death energy came into that. You had to have a death. And death is, that card is very reminiscent of, it's transformation energy, it's Pluto energy, it's cyclical energy, it's, it's Kali, it's Shiva. It's that cyclical energy of, things grow and then they die. And then I'm hearing that like the forest, the large redwood trees, they require a forest fire in order to regenerate. So you have had to have a forest fire in your life, burn to the ground, raise to the ground. And I'm hearing that song. It's by Bikram. I can't remember what it's called. It'll come to me. You had to have Camelot had to burn. Some things had to just, be torched so that the new could grow. And the two of, so you're very creative, you're very strong, And I love this Mother of Fire. I love this Queen of Wands. She is she's in that crone energy. She's wise. She's an elder. She's creative. She has lived. She's coming from a place of experience. There's no joking about who she is or what she's doing. She is, she's somebody to be revered, to be reckoned with, and she's things to teach, and she's things to share with her stories. And she knows who she is. And then you've got the Two of Wands, which is that building anew. So whatever this was, you had to learn how to see in the dark. You had to bring yourself online. And I'm seeing this as being the Wheel of Fortune as well. You had to learn how to nourish yourself. You had to learn how to, to give yourself the milk that you never got from whatever the nurturer, the giver was. And you had to withdraw your nurturing energy and turn it inwards for yourself. The other person, I feel like from this, we've got despair here, which is the Eight of Cups, and you see this turtle is wrapped up in nets, so they've got themselves all tangled up. And with this Mother of Earth, which is the Queen of Pentacles, I'm not aspected with the Eight of Cups. Is like I'm seeing Miss Havisham. And Miss Havisham was in Great Expectations. And she is an old lady who walks around in her wedding dress, and she has kept her wedding feast. I believe that she was left at the altar when she was young, and she just never got over it. She just stayed in despair for her entire life. She had plenty of money, but she was bitter, and then she had Estella, who she, and then Pip came in, and she let Pip believe. She never said, and again, we're back to this illusion kind of, and this female, feminine tactic of like not outwardly covert is the word I'm looking, not outwardly saying yes, not lie of omission, not setting him straight, letting him believe that his benefactor was in fact her. And it wasn't. And then she may have been around a King of Wands. She may have interfered in a King of Wands that you were supposed to connect with. She may have really inserted herself. And, Daughter of Air is the Page of Cups. So I'm getting gossip from that. And then Father of Water is the King of Cups. So I just feel from the Court cards, I'm not getting a good aspect from the person that you were in cycle with. And I feel like they had to learn how to use all that power that they had at their disposal, power, position, connections, to actually not just feed off of other people. Like you have so much, but yet you feel in despair. Like to just sit in that sour milk. I'm hearing that crying over spilled milk. I believe that this person has spent a lot of like their disposition over time, because these two, they're quite an age. Like you have wisdom, but this person just has age. And immaturity, gossip, and the father of water. He's maybe they're good at, maybe they're very masterful at using emotional energy to feed off of other people. When they have so much, they should be the giver. They should be giving, and they should be giving credit where it's due and reciprocating and building with another person. But they're not. They're crying over spilled milk. They're just stuck in the past. They're like, it's never enough for them. They're hungry ghost energy. So I'm not seeing that they have moved on at all. So I don't know. Again, it's the same in pile number one, that you've had to have a death energy in this relationship, this cycle. Or maybe this is you. Maybe you had to learn, they say that everything that you have is within, and that you have to learn to, necessity is the mother of invention, that you had to learn how to have nothing to become everything, to really appreciate your resources. And I've mentioned this a couple of times on my channel, that Brené Brown once, on a plane, I saw her interviewed. She said she met this angel investor on a plane, and this angel investor said to her, I will never invest in somebody who has not lost $1 million, or capital investor. I don't know if they're the same thing. In a way, I feel like maybe an angel investor is somebody who, I don't know. Maybe they're the same thing, but both came to mind. Anyway, he was saying that he would never invest in somebody that hadn't lost $1 million. And she was like, well, how can you afford to invest in someone who has lost $1 million? And he said, I can't afford to invest in someone who cannot recover from losing $1 million. So in terms of we're back to the proof is in the pudding. The pudding was the loss and the recovery, the death energy, to be able to survive cycles. Like if you're just born with a bunch of wealth, but you don't know how to use that, it doesn't mean that every rich person has to lose it. But if you are in that like scarcity mentality, if you're in that craving, cringy, like to be equanimous, to be in equanimity, is not the same as being in miserly energy, always being afraid that you're going to lose it, and more and more and more insatiable. That's the opposite of a nurturer, a nourishing, the opposite of nourishing, because you'll always be able to generate more. So I kind of feel like you might be a starseed because of I don't know why, because I feel like you might be here to heal a maternal bloodline, or if not, you've come into contact with somebody who was here to heal a maternal bloodline, and maybe you were sent in to help them do that, and they're still not there yet. At least that's what I'm getting from the cards. Tree of Life. These are the Lemurian Star Child Oracle deck. Circle of Life, clear energies, channel. So I feel like you've got a real, like again with the death energy, you had to go through a cycle to get back to your natural frequency. And I'm seeing the dolphins always remind me of like Lemurian and Mintakan. Observe. Loving eyes see all. Equanimity, we were just talking about that. See the truth, step back. So that's again reminding me of see the truth. Like you had to learn to see through the BS. You had to learn to ascend up out of that. Expansion, love for all, playfulness. And we talked about playfulness with the dolphins, and release the past. This person was stuck in the past and still is, as far as I can tell from the cards. I'm not being showing anything about their progression, but I feel like these are two separate energies. And if it's you who is dealing with this in yourself, that's what you need to do. You need to release the past. You need to learn to play again. You need to look beneath the surface. And if you're dealing with somebody like this, you cannot change somebody else. They have free will, as do you. And you can only manage your own energy. But from your cards that came out over here, I'm seeing this very much as you are on the path to doing that wherever you are in the cycle. You may have some releasing to do. All of us have some releasing to do around this Scorpio full moon that's coming up on May 12th. So I just want to send you lots of love and light. Pile number 2, This journey is very tough, especially if it's a mother, to not receive the nourishment, the love that you expect from a mother, especially if they're presenting in this way. I'm just seeing a rug being pulled, like when, and that's ego death energy. You know, when you see shattered glass, heart of glass. So and that's why I'm seeing cycle breaker. For somebody to be in this energy, they have to, in my opinion, they have to have, at least in past lifetimes, have built up some, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but built up some, really have to have somewhere along the way shut their heart off, in order to treat somebody like this. That's my opinion. And someone like that is like, they have to go on their own path. They have to do their own shadow work, and you can't do that for them. So pile number 2, thank you for stopping by. I am so happy and grateful to be able to read for you. I feel very blessed to have your energy swing by my channel. And if you like my content, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we will see you, I hope, or see each other again at another reading. And I am going to get into pile number 3. And we have Chitra energy. Chitra is beautiful energy. Chitra, it means sensual brilliance. Needs honesty to create true beauty. It is, for me, it's Virgo into Libra. Virgo rules the nervous system, and Libra is ruled by Venus. So Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Libra is ruled by Venus. And Mercury and Venus are the only 2 signs who rule, are the only 2 planets who rule more than one sign. Virgo rules, Mercury rules Gemini energy, and it rules Virgo energy. And Venus rules Taurus and rules Libra. And we've got blue heron medicine for you. And blue heron is a very, very auspicious, I'm hearing from, what you call it, the heron and the otter are my friends. So that's from Pocahontas. That is the, you think, it's a song from Pocahontas. Colors of the Wind, that's what it is. Colors of the Wind, so beautiful. And heron is, blue heron is, it's about self-reflection. And that's, I think you're very good at reflecting, at self-reflection yourself. And with the nervous system, you may have had issues with your nervous system. And everybody has some form of issues with their nervous system. Issues can show up in the nervous system like PTSD, that kind of thing. It can show up in, emotional dysregulation. I'm hearing Dr. John Deloney saying that, when you feel unsafe as a child, when a child feels unsafe, it puts a GPS marker in their nervous system. So anytime they come into an energetic dynamic later on, or into a dynamic later on that reminds them of that, it's like it goes off like an alarm system within them. So it's something you may have had to do some healing on your nervous system. And an out of whack nervous system can really lead to a lot of things, stress related stuff, PTSD, CPTSD, borderline personality, ADHD, And when you feel really unsafe in your body too, it can lead to a lot of contraction in your body and in your muscles. So you can hold on to energies, and you can build up. You can build up toxicity in your body by like just not being able to flow and not being able to move. It can lead to things like, you know, constant ruminating and hypervigilance and that kind of thing. And then Libra is like the higher expression of Venus, like kind of, I'm gonna say applied, I don't know, at a more kind of higher level. I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to say, but Heron medicine, it's like the power of knowing by, you know, self-discovery, by going deep within and discovering your gifts and through challenges and whatever. And that's kind of for me, Virgo likes to break things down. So things like yoga nidra, and some sort of, you know, things that work with the nervous system, like guided meditations that make you feel safe. Things that take you out of your mind and into your body, even though Mercury is, I think, and Libra is I balance. So being able to balance the body and the mind could be really an effective tool for you to be able to be more in your body, pulling you out of your mind. And I remember a dance teacher saying to me once, she was like, we don't have to figure out what puts you in the zone. We have to figure out what pulls you out of it so that we can not do that. So I feel like you're very naturally a brilliant one, but being so sensitive can lead to hypervigilance when you're always trying to be safe or please another. When you're always I'm seeing empaths now like absorbing the insecurities and the emotions of others. Like you might be very highly clairsentient, you might be clairaudient, you might be clairvoyant. So you might pick up, you might be in groups of people, or you might be around certain people that have strong energies, and when they have a negative feeling or a negative thought and they don't know how to deal with it themselves, and they don't metabolize it and it builds up, like you just might feel really uncomfortable around them and not understand why or not know why, especially when you're a child. Because you don't have that language and you don't have those tools and you don't know how to navigate that. And that can lead to like types of neurosis, and you know, it can develop into things that are really tough to manage. So getting to know yourself, getting to know your own body, getting to know your own thoughts, getting to know your own creative expression. And that's leading us into Libra, creative expression. The star of opportunity, like you have a lot of great karmas. You have a lot of brilliance, and I'm looking at the symbol of Chitra is, you know, a multifaceted jewel, but it also has that multicolored quality to it as well. And if you think about a diamond, the diamond has the characteristics. What makes a diamond more valuable, for example, is the carat, which is the weight of it, the strength of it, the durability of it, the clarity of it, which again is discernment, being in your own energy, being able to discern where we were talking about, like being empathic, like knowing what's yours and what's other people's, and being able to like have being able to have the strength, being able to have the weight in your own frequency to be able to not take other people's stuff on. That's really important for people that are highly, highly sensitive, because you can get really overwhelmed by other people's energy. And the other thing is the cut. And the cut is again, like it's reminding me of that self-discovery. So you're kind of chipping away at that which, you know, maybe other people have projected on you, or and I'm getting refinement as well. So all of those qualities that are truly innate to you, that not only are you, I'm getting both refinement and purification, and also craftsmanship. So not only are you crafting your own energy, your own self, but you're also purifying at the same time. You're also releasing that which doesn't serve you, past life karmas, things that people have projected onto you, all of that kind of stuff. Such beautiful energy Chitra is. It's really, 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 again, it's that the creator's brilliance needs realness to create reality. So again, we create from, we manifest from the subconscious. And the subconscious is the more self discovery we do, the more we do creative expression, the more we express our emotions in a healthy way, in a way that serves us, in a way that's natural to who we are, the more we're able to shine. And I believe that you shine bright like a diamond. So beautiful. And I am feeling starseed for you as well. It's the ability to like accept the it's that equanimity we talked about again, having you know, and kind of neutrality, like having emotions but not being whipped around by them, being compassionate with yourself, not feeling pity, like not having a pity party, and not being like self, like being cruel to oneself, and being around others as well. Like you're not, to have that kind of that what you're projecting out into the world, that beautiful Venusian energy, it is, you know, you're not looking for something, you're just expressing who you are. And you're not like jealous of other people, because you're fulfilled in who you are. You are so in harmony with your own energy, being back in your frequency. And that multicolored, like the pearl, if you think, I'm seeing a prism and white light, and all light is contained in white light. So that just, it's just, I'm seeing just an array of your energy, the rainbow of you internally, that whole, you are, you know, you are a whole, every cell in your body is a universe onto itself. So getting to know, you know, your mind, getting to know your physical body, getting to know what brings expansion to you in, you know, your expression, what lights you up, what shuts you down, like knowing all those things about that, bringing that out into the light of day. And I feel like with the diamond as well, like you're very, not only are you self-reflective, but you're also encouraging other people to be reflective, because they're like, I want what they have, but they have to go on their own inner journey to find out what they have, because they can't have you. They can't go inside of you. And this is, you know, this is kind of connected to pile 2 in a way, because we were talking about that, you know, the people who kind of almost the vampiric people who like have so much, but they want what you have, you know, that covetousness, which in the Bible, when in the 10 Commandments, it's a sin. I don't really resonate with the Bible so much, but there are some, you know, good teachings in it, but you know, it's not the be all and end all for sure. And it's not a complete way to live, in my opinion. And I'm not telling you what to live. I think there's I think it's limited. Everything is limited. Heron just really asks us to just look at ourselves with not only compassion, but through a clear lens, to be able to do our shadow work, to be able to be gentle with ourselves and to nurture ourselves. And when you can do that for yourself, you can have that compassion for another, but you don't necessarily have to take on their stuff. I'm hearing that phrase, care, don't carry. So you can care about others, but you can care about them from a distance if they refuse to stop dumping their baggage on you. And sometimes you have to do that, and sometimes not only is that the kind thing to do for yourself, it's the kind thing to do for them. Because I'm seeing helicopter parents, and especially helicopter parents who are, let's say, who want all the credit for their children's success. Don't teach them how to build themselves up. What the heck is that child supposed to do when the parents no longer are around? And I'm seeing the Six of Pentacles now, so that idea of giving from a place of superiority. I know someone who had a daughter who was in their mid-20s, and like they just babied them so much. They didn't trust them to drive. They were buying houses for them. They were talking about how they would share this daughter's private, vulnerabilities and health issues with people without, like, they just babied this child so much. But like, this person is not going to be around all this person's life. So you're kind of putting a target on their back, especially, okay, if they have resources, you're putting a target on their back for, like, basically people who want to go after their resources. If you don't have resources, like, you're basically leaving them for like with no life skills to be able to do that for themselves. So either way, it's not good. Teach a man to fish is what's coming up. And they'll eat for a lifetime, but give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Like, as we want to be, we want to be people who can take care of ourselves. We don't want to be a child forever. We don't want to be an eternal child. We are already eternal children of spirit, of the divine. We have things that we need to do and show up in on this planet, and we all have gifts that we want to develop and share with the world. And Chitra is about that. If you think about it, skill, design, purpose. It's a lot to do with crafts, architecture. Chitra, the deity of Chitra is worshipped by a lot of in India, worshipped by a lot of engineers and architects and craftsmen and people like that. And it's reminding me, I'm seeing with this pile, I'm seeing a lot of sacred geometry. So I feel like you're energetically, like, no matter what you do, I'm seeing you as being an energetic engineer, an energetic architect. No matter what you do, you bring this symphony of sacred geometry to everything that you do, every conversation that you have, every breath that you take, every step that you make. As you walk on with Mother Gaia, your energy, your soul, your body has this innate understanding that you are nature. And I always wonder why we call nature nature. Like, being natural means, I guess, in one sense, being close to your original source. So we all have, human nature. What is human nature? It's having a human body, but it's also having emotions. It's having a place in society, in community, in our tribe, for want of a better word. But it's also about the internal and going back to our divine selves. And the stars that we're born under, and the gifts that we have that are natural, that are innate, that we get. And we're back to know thyself, self-reflection. Choosing to blame others for your circumstances, choosing to blame others for your lack of resources, choosing to, or the opposite, choosing to, we're back to the helicopter parent. If you don't recognize your own gifts, and if you don't have confidence in who you are, if you don't know yourself, how can you have the confidence to show up in the world and present them and give them and share them with the world? You can't, not in an effective way. So I feel like for this pile, whose villain are you? I feel like you're I feel like you've been through piles 1 and 2, and you have had to learn how to come into your own in terms of balancing and harmonizing your own energy, your own gifts. You've had to, I feel like you've had a lot of obstacles placed in your way. All is divine is what I'm hearing. And I was thinking about this the other day. I heard this reading about cheating. And cheating, I looked up the definition of it, and it talks about, and I was thinking about it before I looked up the definition, because like now we have cheating is synonymous now with, a romantic partner going off and being with somebody else. But cheating really means being dishonest. And in school, like, you were cheating on a test, looking at somebody else's homework, cheating in a game, like breaking the rules. Like there being established rules, but you're like, I'm not doing that. So it was interesting to me. So I started to look at that. I feel like you're somebody who is very advanced, and I feel like you're somebody who had like the star of opportunity. You might have had a lot of people try to hitch their wagon to you because they saw in you that you were lucky. And I really don't believe in luck. I believe I believe in energy, and I believe that there's a phrase that says, the more I practice, the luckier I become. And that's interesting because practice reminds me of, like, if you're in a sport, for example, practice. If you're in a creative art, you're practicing your skills. If you are studying for something, you do practice tests. In your spiritual practice is doing. It's action. It's actioning. It is what I do in practice, theory and practice. So it's like I do it. It's that we're back to that idea of, and I think this was in pile 2, of the proof is in the pudding. Whatever I practice, I bring into the light of day. Meaning I manifest what I practice. So, they say that we act from our subconscious, not from our conscious. That's why, diets tend to not work, for example. New Year's resolutions tend to not work because we go and we say, because the conscious mind is just what we can see. So we're going, okay, I am going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to put it on a list and I'm going to do that. But until we kind of build up a practice, a routine of doing those things, we don't become somebody who does that naturally. And we can, I remember being at a Tony Robbins conference years ago, probably nearly 10 years ago now. And I remember him saying something about addiction, and he gave 5 things, and I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but he was saying if you have any of these 5 things, you're going to be addicted. If you get these 3 of these 5 results from, okay, I think he expressed them as needs. One of them was the known, one of them was the unknown, One of them was something higher than yourself. And I forget what the other two were. But he was saying, if you're addicted to, if any activity or practice, we're back to the word practice, fulfills, or even relationship or situation fulfills 3 of those 5 things, you will become addicted to that. So that will become, your routine, because addiction by definition is like a routine that kind of has more, an energy, or a routine that has more power over you than you do over it. Again, back to this idea of acting from the subconscious. You might not know, it's a pattern. Intent. So until you develop a new practice, a new routine, and they say that you don't give up, you don't give up habits. You replace them with new habits, because we only have 24 hours in a day. So we have limited time. So how we spend our time is who we become. And that builds within our subconscious, and asking ourselves why we do certain things helps us to be able to, the conscious is more like a rudder. So when we're trying to be on a diet and we're trying to do this, but our needs are being met somewhere else, we don't know why. We're like, well, why can't I stay on this diet? Why can't I save up this money? Why can't I? Why questions, they're only good to on the surface level. But then you have to get to work and build a new routine. Then you have to get to work and change who you are, to be able to do that. And, with architecture and craftsmanship, and think about diamonds. Diamonds are formed under pressure. If God has put you under pressure, he's making a diamond out of you. You are the brilliant one. And, you have a lot of past life karmas that were built up. And I remember seeing, I think it was Jordan Peterson being interviewed, and somebody asking him about what kind of has happened in society. And I remember he made this comment about, with reality TV, I think it was Jordan Peterson, I wouldn't swear to it. But he was saying, with reality TV, we circumvented the routines. We made it about winning. We look at Big Brother. It's about cheating. We're back to that word, cheating. It became cheating became elevated. It became prized. It became it became something to be celebrated. And it was not in the past. There was more personal virtue and personal responsibility that was praised, that was genuinely praised, that was genuinely rewarded, and you would keep that stuff hidden. Because if you think about Machiavellian, and he wrote The Prince, but Machiavellian basically means the ends justifies the means. So I can lie to people, I can have, and think about Survivor. It's like, how much money do I win by I'm being rewarded for basically screwing people over, and being in a lot of twosomes to the end, and then throwing over somebody. And it's reminding me also that, in essence, all betrayal really at the end of the day is self-betrayal. Because when you're betrayed, and when you're betrayed, if you're not picking up on the signs, or you don't have standards to say, no, I'm not putting up with this. If you're not pure in your energy, if you're don't have your discernment online, if you're not clued into who you are, if you haven't done your self-reflection, and you aren't in your own frequency, you're not clear on who you are and why you're doing the things that you are doing. Back to manifesting from the subconscious. So you're attracting people that will betray you. And when you allow people to betray you, and you're over forgiving, and you pity them rather than having compassion for them and moving away from that kind of energy. At least figuratively, at least having boundaries, at least saying, no, I will not tolerate this in my life. If you don't have boundaries, you're kind of complicit in them betraying you. And it happens to all of us. And we all have to learn from our mistakes. But if you keep, they say that phrase, and I think I brought it up in pile 1 or 2, like you keep dating the same person, and then kids go out and replicate, dysfunctional patterns that they have in their homes if they come from a dysfunctional home. Like, you have to deal with the truth. So I'm seeing a lot of course, here we've got the High Priestess. Then we've got the 8 of Swords. She can get up and walk away. She's blindfolded. She's bound. But the swords are behind her. Like, not looking at the truth. Not doing the self-reflection. The High Priestess, she knows all. She sees in the dark. She is not... she's not blinded by the material world. She's got the moon on her head, and she's got the darkness behind her. We've got the King of Swords. So you had to learn how to be descending. You had to learn how to be discerning. And he's sitting on a throne of granite, which is like strength, which is unbreakable rock, really. It is just like, it's one of the strongest rocks. And then we've got the King of Pentacles, who's looking away. And in this is back to, the idea of, behind it there's a broken pillar. So you're starting anew. So there's confusion here. But now you're looking to the confusion and you're aware of it. So this person whose villain you are, I feel like they were someone who, there was a lot of betrayal. There was a lot of betrayal in this, whether it was from a family, a marriage, or a romantic relationship, a friendship group. Maybe it was cycle after cycle after cycle in all of these arenas in your life, because you were confused, because you were around, liars lie. You were around people who refused to be truthful with you and who presented you with multiple options. But King of Pentacles is someone who builds. So you may have built, other people may have built for other people, and then there's a broken column behind. So you may have had to bring your discernment online, tap into your intuition, and take your blindfold off and see the reality of the situation and the reality of who you are too in the situation, because it doesn't matter which side of a codependent relationship you're in, if you're in one. And it's unfortunate. Your person, Spirit's calling on them. There's been a painful ending. With you, I would imagine. And it may be an ending to a cycle. You may have been like, I'm discerning now. I'm not putting up with that anymore. You can tap into spirit. You can go on a spiritual journey. You can learn to hitch your wagon to your own star. You don't have to be having me drag you all around. Like, I'm not your charioteer. Like, get on your own chariot. A lot of anxiety. So this person is being called into the light, and they've got the sun here as well. And the sun is like, they're being called into internally to look in their own philosophies. And then we've got the Knight of Wands, which is that, in and out kind of energy, which they probably did with you. So instead of being in and out with the truth, instead of being in and out with resources, instead of being in and out with what they're bringing to the table, they're being called to just to grow up, basically, is what I want to say, and to follow you. And when I say follow you, I don't mean run after you and be in your life if that's something that you're done with, because you're a sovereign being. You get to decide whether who's in your life and who isn't. They're being called to follow spirit, and that's what you've done. So they're being called on the same path as you, but not onto your path, if that makes sense. If your paths come back together, great. If not, and for some of you, this person may still be in your life. Who knows? I know for some of you for some of you for sure, you have walked away, because you were just like, I'm just never going to get clarity here in this situation, and I'm just done with that. You know, there's no peace in being in confusion all the time. It's exhausting, it's draining. And I'm hearing that phrase, it takes two to tango, but only one to say no. So somebody who is consistently kind of, casting illusions and refusing to be true to who they are, and refusing to show up in their own brilliance, and is just, you might have been around people who were just like, I am so great, because you were doing all the heavy lifting in the relationship, and when you moved away, like, it's like, how dare you stab me? And I'm seeing with the Ten of Swords that you may have had this in multiple areas and multiple relationships, because that is something that in this lifetime you are overcoming. I want to pull one of the Sacred Activation cards for you, from the Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle deck, pile number 3. Your energy is really, you've really had to get, you're highly psychic. You're very, very intelligent, and you're also very good at bringing that into the world. And you have an innate desire. Oh my gosh, look at this. Delightful. You delight, number 19. The frequency of delight supports our capacity to create and experience feelings of intense joy and happiness. The more delight we feel, the more delight we evoke in others. So I believe that, people being around you may have felt like your job as the brilliant one was to delight them, but that's depleting. You're not there. They can't outsource their delight to you. Who you are and what you build brings delight to the world. It lights up the world. Delight. And I'm hearing groove is in the heart. Groove is in the heart. And that was by the band Delight. So, and look at this. Your personal power. It's like, it's so beautiful. And this is reminding me of a compass, is it a compass rose or a rose compass that you see on a map? Like, you are a guiding light. You are a North Star. You are a sun. You are the sun, the earth, the moon, and the stars in your own right. And the world deserves, and your mission, your purpose is to be you, to be in your own frequency, and and again, I'm seeing that sacred geometry. Remember, I was seeing that in every step you take, in every conversation that you have, in every breath you take, in everything you do. It's like fairy dust of sacred geometry in everything you do. But you are required to be discerning of your energy and to build from the heart, one step at a time, to build of you. I feel like with this, we were talking about it in the last pile number 2. Scorpio, full moon. If you have not released things, you're about to. We all are. Oh my goodness. Divine cosmic womb, you're about to birth something. Something beautiful. You are loved. You are safe. Rest now. Sleep well. So you look after your energy. Whale teaching. Depth of experience and healing. Teacher and mentor share wisdom. You have something beautiful that you have not even... There's more to come that you haven't even scratched the surface of yet, that you are bringing forth into this world. I do not know what it is. It is going to delight you. It is going to delight the world. And I don't mean that you're going to be like, yay, party. It's just that quiet delight, that just beautiful, serene, delicious, just that joy, that just hum of joy to be here and be alive. Like I'm seeing a hummingbird. You're strong and you're delicate at the same time. And just, I love whales. And I had my birthday recently because I'm Barney. And on my birthday, I went to commune with whales. Not on the birthday, actually on my solar return. I went to commune with whales. And I just had so many downloads being in their presence. I am someone who can't wait for a world where the animals are free. The only way to get up close to these whales was to go to one of those places that cages them. But I went there to, even though I gave them money, I went there because I felt called to, and I felt I really wanted to connect with the whales, and I felt like I had that experience. I might talk about that at another reading, but I left some crystals there, and I really enjoyed just going around and seeing. The only way you can see the whales is to go to the whale show, but all of the other, I didn't go to a single other show. I just went to the nurseries and looked at them and just kind of observed them and spent a bit of time in their presence and just kind of opened myself up to their energy. And I hope that as a society that we learn how to treat the animals and the marine life and each other with the dignity and the love with which is warranted and deserved. And I don't know why I'm sharing that message with you. I think that whatever you're going to bring into this world is going to be something that is just so worthy of divinity. I feel really moved in your energy, actually, pile number 3. You're such a beautiful soul. Thank you for incarnating. Thank you for all the work you've done. Thank you for all of the cycles that you've been through. Thank you for just keeping going. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And I'm going to leave it there. I'm sending you so much love and light. And thank you again. Bye, pile number 3.